All right. Know what it is? You know who it is? We're back. Episode 18 of the Fight Cast. I'm sorry if I sound stuffy. Allergies. Had a little bit of a COVID scare. Thought I had COVID, had to get tested, but we're negative over here. We ain't got that COVID. So, exciting weekend. I would say a little bit of it was exciting in the build up to it. It was a very underwhelming card, I should say. I thought this was going to be looking at this card from the outside looking in on the weekend, this was easily set up to be one of the best cards of the year. And it was only March, but this one underperformed a bit. There was a lot that was left. There's a lot to be had from the card. We had Izzy and Jan, Amanda Nunez, Megan Anderson, Peter Yan, Sterling, Makachev, Dober, Santos, Rakic. It was kind of boring from the beginning. I'm starting to realize a lot of these fighters in the UFC, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. A lot of them are trying to become counter punchers, and it's just all about who can get hit, who can hit the hardest first. And all of them are really bad counter punchers, and it's turning into really boring fights. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but they got to figure out something. But breaking this down, I'll start from the bottom up. Thiago Santos versus Rakic. Rakic won by decision, and Santos has just kind of faltered his last few fights. He fought Glover Teixeira his last fight. He got dominated on the ground. He got kind of exposed. I know it was his first fight back in a while when he fought Teixeira, but Glover Teixeira, put him on the ground and basically like exposed him for his conditioning and like his lack of ground game and beat him by submission. And then he came in here against Rakic, who Rakic is I did not realize how big this dude was. He's fucking big. He's jacked. And like he was throwing Santos around, which is usually the opposite. Santos is usually throwing people around, but he, for the most part, he dominated this fight from the beginning, and Santos couldn't really get anything going. It was just, again, like these dudes, like I think they're starting to become smarter in the UFC because it's so easy with 4-ounce gloves to get rocked that a lot of these guys are sitting back, and you're starting to see these fights that are just people staring at each other, and everyone, like I said, they want to become counter punchers, and they're waiting for the other guy to do something, but the other guy isn't going to do anything. So he's waiting for them, and it's a staring game essentially until someone gets pushed or gets in a position where they need to throw a punch. And, kind of like we'll get to with Izzy and Jan, but it was just an overall underwhelming fight for Rakic and Santos. And Rakic won by decision. Moving up to the next one, we had Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober. I think this was fight of the night. I said it was going to be fight of the night. I thought it was the best fight. I think that Sterling and Jan had their moments, but I think that Makhachev really, I've seen some things back and forth saying that he didn't really do as well as, people think he did, and that he was kind of, underwhelming himself. But, Dober's not an easy fight at all. And Dober is a firecracker. He's got a lot of skill. He's a strong puncher. His ground game obviously needs work. And I think his takedown defense needs a lot of work. But I think that, I go back to, I think that Islam is just that good. And I think that like, you're just seeing, like, I joked around on Saturday night, but I think that anybody who comes from Dagestan should be top 15 in their division until proven otherwise. Doesn't matter who they are, where they're from. If you're from Dagestan, you need to be put in the top 15 of your division until you're just beaten senseless, or, I don't know what else happens, because these guys are coming out of Dagestan. Ankalev, Makhachev, Khabib. There's another one from there, and they're all just dominating their divisions. They're stepping up and they're winning. And there was another fight on the prelims. I forgot the guy's name. I can't remember, but he fought very well too, and he's from Dagestan, I believe. I can't remember. I can't believe I forgot his name, but all these dudes, they're all, and Makhachev to me stood out because I think he's going to get a big fight next. I think he's going to get a top 5. He called out Tony Ferguson because I think he knows if he gets Tony Ferguson right now, I think he's going to dismantle Tony Ferguson, because I think if you saw what Charles Oliveira did to him, I think that Islam is better than Oliveira. And I think that he is better on the ground than Oliveira. And I think he's going to I think he's a better striker than Oliveira. So I think if he gets in the ring with Tony Ferguson, Tony Ferguson's career is going to be over that night. So I hope Ferguson doesn't do it, but it's looking like he's going to, because he's not the type of dude that'll turn down that challenge. But Islam, to me, he's that next big dog. He should be top 5. He just hasn't fought really anybody he hasn't fought anybody in the top 5. So he's going to need a a top 5 win to make sure. Hold on, let me grab my water because I'm going to need it. He's going to need a top 5 win to really establish himself within there, because the lightweight division's the most congested right now because of Conor, Dustin, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler, Oliveira. Like, that's 7 dudes that are at that top position, like vying for the belt. And I don't see Makhachev not making a name for himself, and I think he beats. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think the only person I think that really gives him real hard shot right now is Poirier, Chandler, and Oliveira. Those are the only 3 that I think that if Islam comes up, I think he wrecks Gaethje. I think he would right now, until proven otherwise, he would beat Conor. It's just because he's just Khabib 2.0 with better striking. And I don't know, but Makhachev, he's that dude. He's just another like Khabib. So I think whatever happens, he's gonna get a big fight next. And Dober, I'm interested to see what happens. I think they kind of threw Dober to the dogs here. I know that Dober wanted this fight too, but I think that it was a little bit a step above what he was ready for, and I think you saw that in the ground game. And I think that he kind of got dominated right from the beginning. He got taken down early, and he just couldn't get up. And it was just he was just outclassed on the ground, had no positions of advantage, except for I think at the end of the second round, he ended up getting on top of Makhachev, but I think the round ended, if I'm remembering correctly. But it's just one of these things where Dober, you could see from the beginning, he was outclassed, and Makhachev knew what he was going to do, threw a couple strikes and just took him down and just sat on him the entire time. He ended up getting him with a filthy, like half Von Flue, half arm triangle. It was just crazy. So that was one of that and the next fight are the ones that I got right, because it was a bad night overall. It was 2 and 3. The craziness of Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling. So looking at this fight, Sterling came out hot. And I know you didn't watch, but Sterling came out like, I forgot how many punches he was throwing, but he was holding a pace. And the question was early on, because I thought he won the first round, because Yan was kind of like sitting back and defending. But then Yan was just, he was just picking his shots. And when he was getting his shots, he rocked Sterling once or twice. And then you could see as soon as the third round hit, Sterling like hit a wall and he slowed down. Like the first round was fine. Second round, it was like give or take. Third round was when Yan really kind of dominated and he started like picking Sterling off, and you could see he slowed down a lot. And then I believe it was a fourth round. There was an incident. Sterling was on the ground. He was going to get up. His knee was on the ground. And for some reason, Peter Yan just kneed him in the face, kneed him right in the forehead, shot him back. It was an illegal knee. In the UFC and in most sports, if there's a fighter who's on one knee or like transitioning from getting up to from the ground to the standing position, you can't kick or knee. I don't know if you can punch them, but I know there's like some like dead space that you can't actually do anything when they're getting up. And most of the time the ref stops it and lets them get up for that simple purpose. But Sterling had connection with Yan, and Yan just kneed him in the face. It came out after that Khabib told Cormier that he heard the sidelines for Peter Yan say, like, you can hit him or kick him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was a mistake on their part or they were just being dicks and saying, like, hit him. But Peter Yan listened and kneed him and then got disqualified. So I don't, if it's a lot of controversy, because I don't think Sterling was going to win that fight had that not happened, because he was slowing down fast and Yan was just picking him at that point, and he was getting his shots in there. He was winning against the cage a lot. He was keeping him where he needed to be, and Sterling had no answers towards the end of the fight, and he was just holding on. So Sterling got lucky. I think that this is going to change things, though, because he does have the belt now, and I think that Sterling had his chance and he saw his flaws in there. I don't think he's going to come out as hot next time. I don't think he's going to come out as crazy because he was putting a lot behind little punches. Like he was putting a lot of like flair behind like basic moves that he didn't need to. And I think he wasted a lot of energy early on that I think if he came back or when he comes back and they fight again, he's going to have a completely different what do I want to say? Like game plan and attacking him.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of changed things a lot because, I think Jan with that, whether it was him or whether it was just like a stupid, like miscommunication in his own head of just like what he can do, he kind of like fucked himself here. Cause I think that this gave Sterling the opportunity to now come back and like, he has the belt now and he can, not that he's not going to fight Jan, but he can actually sit back with the leverage and sit back with the experience of being in the ring with Jan and seeing what he did wrong and now come back and fix those things, where I think if this was the other way around, Peter Yan wouldn't have had to get in there again with him. So, like I said, I think Jan was winning that fight and I think that the judges had it that way. I think Sterling was up on one card and Jan was up on two cards when they checked the scoring at the end of the fight. And it was just a crazy moment. Just a stupid moment by Jan, but we'll see what happens for it. They obviously have to fight next because you don't want to fight to end that way. But Sterling, again, like Sterling, I wasn't going to sit there and say that like he was faking it because I don't think he was. Because if you get kneed in the fucking head, it's probably not nice to deal with. But it was just kind of confusing because he was like in the ring, obviously concussed, like crying and saying like he didn't want the fight to end this way. He didn't want the belt. He dropped the belt. But then after on Instagram, he's holding the belt and he's like taking all these pictures and celebrating with the belt. It's like, I don't know. Like that just didn't sit.
That was probably his team, like PR people saying,
And I hope because like it doesn't sit well. Like, I don't know. And like, I'm not going to knock the guy because he did win, but it's like that was kind of like a bad way to win. You were losing that fight. And then to kind of like sit there and be like, oh yeah, this is my belt now type thing. It's just kind of like, I don't know.
It is corny.
Yeah, it's corny. Yeah. Getting into the next fight, I took a leap of faith here. I thought that Megan Anderson's size, her length, and kind of her background with striking and ground game were gonna pull through in some way. She got fucking demolished. It wasn't even a fight. I thought, I don't know what she was doing. She just literally got touched, and that was it. And you saw it. She was in there. She was good. She threw like one or two punches. Nunes just snuck under her arm and just rocked her, and her eyes went just opened up wide. And she was just like this the rest of the fight. She got hit like one or two more times. Nunes took her into a fucking triangle, and that was it. Like she didn't tap on the triangle. She was going to break her arm. So
yeah,
it was bad. Nunes is just a different beast. I thought it was one of those times, there's not many people in sports, and I try not to look at this as like, because like we talked about before, I try not to look at all this as like the next Floyd or the next like, insert professional athlete here, because there's not ever many Floyds. Like there's not Khabibs, there's not Floyds, these people that go undefeated. These are literally once in a lifetime generational athletes. And you oftentimes see this with like, you see it with Conor, you see it with Canelo, you see it with some of these other fighters where they have that loss. Like they don't have the perfect record. They put themselves on the line. And Nunes is just, I think she's one of those once in a lifetime generational athletes, at least right now, until there's something else. And I'm sure, and I heard someone say this, I think it was Joe Rogan, like there's gotta be some woman out there who's training that we don't know about that has the ability to beat Amanda Nunes. But, as of right now, I don't know.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's not enough. And we talked about this before. There are fucking fighters out there. We're actually going to get into this with David Benevidez about people with the ability to do something. But it's more than that.
Yeah.
It's like, do you have the fucking, emotional fortitude to push through, to use your ability and push through the other person using their ability? But I mean, he's right. Yeah, there's someone out there with the skills that either match up with her or surpass her, but are they as aggressive? Because that's the thing about Nunes, and something we're going to talk about with Clarissa Shields. The reason that she keeps winning is because of her mindset.
Yep.
she attacks. She's a machine. You know what I mean? That aggression combined with the fucking skill set is what makes her what she is.
Yeah. And she's just, like I said, she's just head and heels. Like every fight, she's just there. She's doing what she's got to do. And like, she's just better. And she's not like, I don't know. Like I said, I think that right now she's the only fighter in UFC history to actively be undisputed in 2 weight classes and like defend the belt in both. I forgot the girl who just called her out at 145 or 135, or I forgot what it is, but she's essentially the one that's keeping the women's featherweight division alive. I think that as soon as she's done with it, they're going to get rid of it because there's nothing in there. They actually don't have a ranking for her division because she's beaten everybody. She's literally cleared out both divisions. So there's not even like a ranking. It's just Amanda Nunes and then like whoever wants to fight her next. But she's falling into that category of like a Terrence Crawford, of like one of these fighters who nobody wants to fight. So she's having a hard time finding fights, and the people that she is finding are just not at her level. So whatever happens with her, she just keeps going. She's easily right now the GOAT in her in women's MMA. So she probably could beat some of the guys in MMA. Honestly, she's fucking filthy. But I don't know. But anyways, so not a lot to talk about there. But with the championship fight, we had Izzy and Jan. I had a lot more I had a lot of higher expectations for this fight. I thought that Izzy was going to use his skill, and his skill meaning like his ability to stay outside, his ability to strike and move, his ability to kick and like kick with accuracy and like creativity. Blachowicz looked like I thought Blachowicz was going to look. He was just kind of stagnant. He moved well. He was flinching at everything that Izzy threw. Anything that Izzy threw, he was even like half through or fainted. He was reacting to everything. And I don't think Izzy took advantage of that enough. Blachowicz did what he was going to do. He was looking for a couple punches. He was looking for 1 or 2 big punches. And I think that Izzy was looking not to get hit by those 1 or 2 big punches instead of actually like going in there and doing what he does best. And I think that's Izzy put a barrier in his own way, and I don't think he had to. It was just, like I said, I personally think had Izzy not gotten taken down in the 4th round, I think he won that fight. I think that the only reason Izzy lost that fight was because of the 4th round takedown, and he couldn't get back up. And it's another thing, it's MMA. And unfortunately, like, it's just a part of the game. I've never seen Izzy taken down. And that was one of the things that I was always interested to see, is how he would react when he gets taken down. But he got taken down. He couldn't get back up. He didn't have the ability, and I don't think he's strong enough in that division. And Blachowicz is just, the way that I look at it is, if Izzy was in there with John Jones and that was John Jones, he would have been submitted. Like, he would have got mauled. And like, so to look at that, and like, so I looked at that after, because I didn't agree with the decision completely. And I thought that one judge had it 4 rounds to 1, which is nonsense for Blachowicz. Because I honestly think Izzy won the first 2 rounds at least. I think he won the 3rd round personally. And then I think Blachowicz obviously dominated the last 2 rounds. But Izzy did get hit a lot. He showed some flaws. He didn't move well. He didn't move his head well. I didn't think he utilized his kicks like he should have. And I think he could have been way more creative with like his ability to use his kicks and keep his distance. But so the ring was a little bit smaller, I guess. It was about 25% smaller, or 15 to 25% smaller than it usually is. So I guess that played a big part in it. On Fight Island, it's a little bit of a smaller octagon. But yeah, man, I think that destroyed the Izzy John Jones idea. 1, because John Jones would never do that anymore, and 2, he moved up and couldn't get it done. He rocked Blachowicz early on in like the 2nd round. He caught him with like a left, but he didn't do anything to capitalize on it. And me and Jake were talking about before, Izzy's got some bad habits on his feet that he was, that led him to being taken down and led him to get hit a decent amount from Blachowicz that he really shouldn't have gotten hit. But yeah, like I said, the whole card overall was kind of underwhelming for me. It was there's a lot of positives, but there was also a lot of, things that I think could have been done better by a lot of these guys. But, it's just a fight game. That's it. He's got to be better and move forward. But Izzy, whatever's next with him, I think he's going to move down to middleweight, go back down there and just dominate that division until something else comes up. I'm thinking they're going to give Vettori another shot, which I'd be excited to see because I think he's grown. I'd love to see because I think Vettori is fighting Darren Till. I think that's his next fight. So that'll be an exciting fight to watch. And then the winner of that will probably get another shot at Izzy, or Robert Whitaker will get another shot. So there's a lot to be had at the middleweight division. Unfortunately, Izzy's kind of beaten everybody. So it's just kind of rematches and whatnot. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Izzy. For Blachowicz, I think he's going to get, and I think this is going to be a very good fight. It's going to be Glover Teixeira versus Jan Blachowicz. Glover Teixeira, a vet, like I said, he beat Santos his last fight. I'm really interested to see this because I think that Teixeira is a dude who's been in the ring with John Jones. He's been in the ring with some of these like high caliber fighters from the past. And I think that I honestly think he can beat Blachowicz. And I think if he can I think he's a little bit bigger than Blachowicz in stature and like weight. And I think if he can actually get a hold of Blachowicz, he'll take him down and he'll have a hard time on the ground. Because Glover Teixeira is just one of those jiu-jitsu guys who's just got it and he can take a punch and he can give a couple. So if that's going to be what's next, I'm excited to see that. And so that's kind of recap 2-3 on the night. Picked the Sterling fight correct by the disqualification. Otherwise I would have been wrong. And then Makhachev, who dominated. So this upcoming weekend, we got Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad. Not looking forward to that too much. Leon Edwards has been a name that I've been watching for a while. That's been a lot of talk around him. He hasn't fought in a long time. He was supposed to fight Hamza Kamayev, but I don't know what the hell's going on with him. He's had COVID twice or something like that, or scares, and he just retired or something the other day. I guess he's got a lot of complications with whatever was going on with COVID. So I don't think he actually retired, but from whatever is going on, he's posted something about not fighting. So I don't know if he's coming back. I'm sure he will be back. I think he's just dealing with a lot with this COVID stuff. So it sucks because he was one of those dudes I was interested in seeing, and like this was going to be a good fight. Bilal Muhammad's a good fighter, but I don't, if what I've heard and seen from Leon Edwards is there, and I know it's been a while since he's been in the octagon, I think that he pulls this out. I think he's going to do it in a round or two. I think he'll get a TKO on Muhammad, and I think that Edwards is going to put himself in that division again. He's going to put himself towards the top because he's been someone that's been talked about time and time again as if he gets a shot, and he's back. He's got to impress. I think he will impress. I think he'll win in the second round of the TKO, and I think that'll be it. So not too much on the other fights. I'm not going to dive into those. We'll move into the boxing stuff. We got a lot of boxing to talk about. Clarissa Shields, and then we got some fights coming up this weekend and some news. So I'll let Jake start with Clarissa Shields, or wherever you want to start.
Yes. Oh, I picked Clarissa Shields to win a decision, and she did. She dominated. She's just too aggressive, just too much, just a whirlwind of fucking violence, and there's no one. I don't think there's anyone on the female side that could beat her other than Katie Taylor, but Katie Taylor is significantly smaller than her. If they ever fought, it would be probably at a catch weight. I think that would be a fucking great fight. I think that's the fight that has to be made. I know Katie Taylor has been asking for it, but Clarissa Shields got, she wants to, I guess she's going to be moving over into MMA for her next fight.
That's what I've been hearing. I've been waiting to hear more on that, but I haven't heard anything from it.
Yeah, she's been training, but they took this fight because this is it was actually a historical fight. She became the first boxer in history, male or female, to become undisputed in two divisions simultaneously.
Damn.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
So there are two divisions that just don't have any belts to fight for because she has them all. Like, that's insane.
The Nunez.
And then the division right under. So she was junior middleweight, and I think it was junior middleweight and super welterweight and then Katie Taylor is I think junior welter. Either way, but so basically within like 15 pounds, there are 2 women with like 15 belts. I mean, so like, yeah, so that's that. So she destroyed that chick. Clarissa, she's just so aggressive. Even when she takes shots, she just continues moving forward. She's like the Terminator. So yeah, she won that fight. And then this weekend we have 2 kind of big fights. I'm going to talk about the Chocolatito Gonzalez and Juan Francisco Estrada fight first. It's a title fight. Were they junior flyweight, a junior flyweight or flyweight? Super flyweight. So it's 115 pounds. They're little guys, but they're 2 guys that are super busy. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Because they look so much bigger in the ring, though. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I was telling you before. So I met Mike Chandler today because he goes to the MMA gym that I go to, and like you always I've said it before, but like I've never actually met one of these dudes. Like I've never actually seen one, and he's like up to my shoulder in height, but just like douche, just looks like a brick, and I'm just like, holy, like you see one of these dudes, like that's an athlete. and like you see these
it's
dudes,
crazy how much bigger the ring and TV makes these guys look.
I think it's also, like I said, it's their personalities, but then like you're going against someone else who is the size of you, so it makes you look, it's not like, oh, this dude's only 155 pounds and 5'7". Like he would absolutely murder me if he could, I mean? Right. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, but they're so they both have a belt. Both belts are on the line. It's a rematch. They fought in 2012. Gonzalez won a decision then. Estrada, I don't think I think he's been on a winning streak since. No. You know what? They both have a common loss, though. They both lost. So Gonzalez's only 2 losses came from the same dude. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's a Thai dude. Won a decision against Gonzalez and then knocked him out in the second fight. And Estrada's only other loss besides Gonzalez is a decision to the same Thai dude. So other than that, these guys are, beating the shit out of everybody. This fight, though, I'm going to pick Chocolatito in a decision. They're both really busy guys. They're really similar. But Gonzalez is a little more polished. He's got a little more speed. He's just a little tighter with everything that he does. A little tighter, a little cleaner with everything that he does. Estrada does have, I think, probably a little bit more power, but that's because he winds up sometimes. He really he has this awkward way sometimes where he'll dip to one side and throw his combinations while he's leaning. It's actually something that I teach. It's one combination that I teach. Like he'll lean one way, throw an uppercut, and then like rock back into a 2 without coming back to the center line. He does that often, and it's part of the reason why he gets so much behind his punches, because he's using that momentum. But I think he'll end up getting hit more because of that. He's a little more reckless defensively, or a little more reckless, and that leaves him open defensively. And like I said, I just think Gonzalez is just a little bit quicker, and he's a little bit cleaner. I think he's going to land a lot more cleaner shots. I think he comes out with a decision. The other fight is David Benevidez versus Ronald Ellis, super middleweight fight, Canelo's division. As far as the fight goes, to be honest with you, I think Benavidez fucking washes this dude. I wouldn't be surprised if it's. I mean, I'll go ahead. I'll pick it right now. I'll say like sixth, seventh. Let's say seventh round knockout. Benavidez. Ellis gets hit a lot. He's really wild. I mean, he's an okay fighter, but he has moments where he gets really wild and just starts swinging for the fences. And Benavidez, everyone knows that he is a crisp combination thrower, and that's just a bad combination. Like the guy that is open that much, and the guy that throws crisp fucking combinations, flurries. So I think he's going to wash him. But it's important though, because Benavidez is in line to. I guess this fight against Ellis was supposed to be a mandatory eliminator. So
Or Canelo?
Yes.
Okay.
So Benavidez wins this fight, he becomes a mandatory challenger.
Okay.
Now you sent me an interview where he said that he thinks Canelo will take other fights and duck him. I think half of that is true. I think Canelo will take. He's obviously fighting Billy Joe next.
Yeah.
And then I think the only fight to make after that is Caleb Plant.
Yeah, I saw something on Instagram earlier. I think it was this week or yesterday. The plan is for Canelo to beat Billy Joe Saunders, and then December he'd fight Caleb Plant. I think that's a pretty far time, but
well, if he's planning on fighting 4 times and he's going to fight him in December, then that would mean in September he could fight Benavidez.
Yeah.
So maybe that will happen, but Benavidez, I fully expect him to really just mop this dude Ellis up, get in line for that mandatory challenge. I saw something, I don't know how true it is though, that Benavidez actually rejected the WBC mandatory offer.
I feel like
I don't know why he would do that after he said that he thinks that Canelo was ducking him.
I feel like a lot of these dudes just say that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, unless the only thing I could think of is that, like, unless he was told that he would have to wait, that he wouldn't get that as his next fight, then maybe like I could see that happening. But that's boxing politics bullshit.
Like, it could be why he's saying Canelo's ducking him. That would make sense. Like if Canelo's like, I'm fighting you next.
Yeah, it could be a thing. But I mean, he knows it's not Canelo making the like. Canelo's like everybody else. You want a belt, right? Caleb Plant's got the belt. Billy Joe's got the other belts. So he's going to fight the guys with the belts.
Yeah.
And Benavidez, being a guy that, is a former champion in that division, wants a belt. And so he's talking all the shit to try to make that fight happen because he wants a belt. But it is so concerning a potential Benavidez Canelo fight, because I think we're going to see it eventually, because Benavidez is in that division. He's a really fucking good fighter. And as we've said for months now, there's not a lot left for Canelo to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if he wants to be undisputed at the division, which he's planning on doing this year, he's got to fight the top guys, and Benavidez is one of those top guys.
Yeah.
Benavidez said that he thinks that he has what it takes to beat Canelo, and that's why Canelo's ducking him. I half agree. I think that Benavidez offensively has all the tools to beat Canelo, because he's tall, throws a lot of punches. He's pretty accurate, decent speed, decent power. But he gets hit way too much defensively. Yeah. And he's one of these guys, he doesn't move his head. He uses that high guard that we're always talking about, that Europeans use, and is not very effective. Mm-hmm. So if that ever does happen, Benavidez is going to destroy Ellis. If his next fight is like in the fall against Canelo, he's going to get destroyed by Canelo. It's ho hum. Canelo comes in, destroys another guy. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that
either way, these 2 fights this weekend are going to be super fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think that, like, a lot of these guys, they need attributes. They need something that's like not taught, like something that's just like a different skill that, like, and like even like the people that have, like Canelo fought a dude that was basically fucking 6-7 inches taller than him and whooped him. And then, like, the other dude, Yildirim, was pretty big compared to him in terms of like stature and like actual like size, and whooped him. So like, it's got to be. I don't know. I don't know what the perfect fighter would be to beat Canelo. I guess Floyd like would be
Yeah.
like the perfect fighter, just someone who moves well and like can counterpunch him.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anybody right now.
There's no one at 168
Yeah.
that does that.
Do you think
I mean, no one's going to do it like Floyd,
Yeah.
but there just isn't anyone in that division right now that I can think of that fights that way. So,
yeah. But yeah, and I think that like even with that, it always makes, for me, I'm always down to watch and like pay attention to somebody who could fight Canelo. Just like the idea of fighting Canelo was always cool to me. So like watching a dude like Benevidez and like seeing what he can do at least gives the opportunity to be like, hey, is there actually a shot that he has against Canelo, or is this just like pipe dream? Because a lot of these dudes talk, and then like you actually see them in the ring, and you're just like, dude, it's almost like they're forced to talk sometimes. Like it's just like, listen,
we talked about it before. It's that the arrogance, the confidence, the ego of a fighter. Like if you don't have that, you're going to suck as a fighter. So you kind of have to be that way until you get knocked out. You know what I mean? And then you just got to rebuild that. Oh, well, whatever, man. And then like you're back in training again. You're like, yeah, no one could stop me. Yep. It's how you got to be, or else you're going to get beat up every time.
Yeah. 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 And then in other boxing news, some Pacquiao news. I saw some stuff on Ryan Garcia as well. I wasn't sure exactly what he was saying, but Manny Pacquiao said they're leaning towards Mikey Garcia. That would be an awesome fight.
Great. Yeah. That would be a great fight.
I think that would be a great fight in that division. I think that would be like almost, I wouldn't say a perfect matchup, but that would be like a really good just overall matchup for both, because Mikey Garcia is a good fighter. Pacquiao just fucking obviously is Pacquiao.
I think Mikey Garcia may be, like obviously Canelo is super smart, and Bud is super smart, but I think Mikey Garcia may be the most intelligent boxer that's active right now. Like
I like him. I think he's a good fighter. I don't think he gets talked about enough either. I haven't actually forgot about him. Yeah.
He's not flashy. It's just like he goes in, does the job, he wears cowboy hats and rides horses and shit. No one gives a fuck.
I actually haven't heard his name. And I was like, shit, I forgot about Mikey Garcia. Because I think the last time I remember obviously his name was when he fought Broner. And then obviously he's fought a couple times since then. Like he fought Sean Porter, and I think he's done well, right? He's won.
He lost to Errol Spence. That's his only loss.
Okay. Yeah. So
Which way he moved up, and Errol Spence is way too big for Mikey. Way fucking too big.
Yeah. I'd love to see Canelo fuck up Errol Spence. Just go fuck him up.
Canelo's way too big for Errol Spence. Way too big. I mean, Canelo's he had a title at light heavyweight. You know what I mean? Could you imagine him even if he did want to drop back down to 154, that means that Errol Spence is going to have to, make that weight, fight at that weight, which he's not used to. I mean, that's
what they were talking about. They were saying that, but
yeah. I mean, I don't. I think that's a fucking death wish. I don't.
I know.
Errol Spence is really fucking great, but I mean, come on, man.
No, I know. Yeah. I mean, any other boxing news or anything else?
No, I mean, Tyson Fury, Joshua, they're still again, it's there. It's pretty much done. We're just waiting on specifics, details, shit like that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of, I just want these big guys in boxing to fight. Obviously Canelo's fought basically, I'm going to say twice this year, because he fought right at the tail end of December. But other than that, and a lot of these other, what's up?
Yeah. Gervonta Davis.
Oh yeah.
Who's on him? His next fight is going to be in May against Mario Barrio.
Oh, I did see that. Okay.
And he's moving up to 140, which Tank has never fought at 140. So this is going to be a huge test for him. And it would put Tank in line for what Tio wants to do, which is go up and fight for that 140 belt after Kambosos, the winner of Taylor and Ramirez, which is the later next week, I think, or do they move it to next? No, May 22nd. I forgot, they moved it back again. But the winner of that fight, that's for the undisputed championship as well. That's for all the belts. So if Tank has his fight, wins, then he's in line to go up there and fight for those belts that Tio wants. So it looks like basically down the road, within probably a year or so, we're gonna see Tio versus Tank. It looks like they're heading in the same direction. They're gonna collide. I don't think there's any avoiding that. So, but it does mean that we're probably not gonna see Haney versus Tank, Garcia versus Tank.
Haney, I saw. Haney had a fight lined up too.
Oh, does he? Yeah, I didn't hear that.
I just saw it earlier. Oh, Jorge Linares.
Oh, yeah.
Devin Haney versus Jorge Linares on May 15th.
Oh, man. It's
going to be
a tough one. That's a tough one for Haney. Oh, I'm excited for that. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's tough.
And the odd man out here continues to be the odd man out. It's Ryan Garcia. That was the news that I heard. So I saw Devin Haney versus Linares was getting confirmed. And then I saw something under that about Garcia saying that if a fight doesn't happen with him, it's the other side's fault. Like, he'll never say no, and he never backs out of the fight. But like, it's not adding up here. It's not adding up. Like, something's not adding up.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think Ryan Garcia is a weirdo. Honestly, we've talked about it before. I think he is the one guy that doesn't belong in that camp.
Yeah.
With Reynoso and Ruiz and that's the other thing too. Ruiz has a fight lined up.
Yeah.
With Chris Arreola.
Yeah.
I think before training with Eddie Reynoso, Ruiz would fucking mop up Arreola.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be like a second round. Now I think he might kill fucking Arreola.
I think he's getting this fight just to like tune up at this like.
Definitely.
But I mean, the only thing that makes sense to me at that division is Fury, Joshua, and then Ruiz, Wilder, and then whatever. There'll probably be like two or three fights, depending on how convincingly one side wins with Fury and Joshua. Like, I think Fury's going to win no matter what, but I think it would be Fury, Joshua 1, Fury, Joshua 2, and then like Wilder, Ruiz 1, Wilder, Ruiz 2, and then like maybe Ruiz gets a title shot, or maybe Wilder can step back. Like, I don't know, whatever. But like,
I can tell you how this is going to go right now, because that was brought up. Ruiz, actually, who said it? I think Eddie Hearn brought it up. He was like, I think Ruiz knocks out Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think Ruiz, again, before he was with the Reynoso, I think he would have had no problem with Arreola. I think he walks through Arreola, and I think he fucking walks through Wilder.
Yeah.
Especially, like, again, Wilder is so easy to figure out, and you have one of the best trainers in the fucking world preparing you for a fight. I think that would be Wilder going to sleep real early within 3 rounds. So, and you're right. That's probably Ruiz comes back. He's going to mop up Arreola. They're going to want a big fight next because they're going to want to go for the belts.
Mm-hmm.
So we need a big name. Who's a big name? Well, Wilder hasn't fucking done anything in a while besides fucking, talk crazy conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Put him in the ring. He's going to get fucking walked over.
Yep.
That's my prediction right now. We don't have to wait for camps or anything. That fight happens within 3 rounds. Ruiz is knocking him the fuck out, putting him to sleep. And then we will never hear from Wilder again.
Like I said, I think, Wilder said he wants one of these top names, but like he said, besides the obvious, he wants these top guys. The only other top guy there that like is a big enough name is Ruiz, and then him, and that's really it.
And again, like a fight they were trying to make for Joshua and Wilder.
Yeah,
I never thought Wilder had a chance to beat Joshua.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know where Wilder stands now, unless he completely changes his style of fighting. He's
like I said, I think
destroyed by any of them.
Yeah, well, I think what can and will happen here is, I personally think Fury's gonna beat Joshua. I think that he's gonna convincingly beat Joshua. I think he's too good of a boxer, and I think like I said, I think they'll have at least a second fight, depending on how convincing it is. If Fury convincingly beats Joshua twice, I think Ruiz will step in, get a shot at Fury, and that's when you'll see like Wilder versus Joshua, because then Joshua is going to have 3 losses on his belt there, and then Wilder at that point would probably have 2 or 3, depending on how many times he actually fights Ruiz. So that would be the perfect time. It would be late, like it'd be down the line, but like I think it'll still happen. And then like that'll put Fury at the top, and then whatever happens from there. I just think Fury's head and heels above all those guys. So
yeah, I don't think none of those guys could touch him.
So it's a lot of good information, a lot of good stuff, exciting stuff. But we'll keep you up to date on that. As for boxing, we predicted, you said Benevidez 7th round TKO.
Yeah.
And then what was the other guy's name?
Chocolatito Gonzalez, decision. And then I picked Leon Edwards, go the 2nd round TKO over Bilal Muhammad. Light weekend on the UFC. Got some stuff coming up, I think, in the next couple of weeks. We got when is this next fight? Okay, so next weekend we got some stuff that I want to talk about. And then in a couple weeks, March 27th, we got the heavyweight championship of the world. We got Stipe and Francis Ngannou, which will be a good one to break down. Got some other good fights on that card. But yeah, so until then, enjoy the week. Let us know your predictions. Let us know if there's any news that we missed. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.